Hey friends, it's Mari here, and I'm back today with another 12 by 12 scrapbooking layout. I'm going to be creating the companion for this layout, which I posted last week, and I'm going to create not necessarily what you might consider a double page spread, but a companion layout in the sense that it complements the other layout. And so I'm going to be using this photograph here, which I've printed at 4 by 3. This is a photo that was taken at the same time as the photo in the companion layout, which I showed already at the beginning of this video. And I want to use the same color scheme, the same collection, and so on, so that it just looks nicely beside that other layout in the wedding album. I'm going to start off here with a piece of 12 by 12 Bazzill smooth cardstock, and I have applied some transparent gesso to this paper because I knew I wanted to do a little bit of mixed media. I wasn't sure how much. And I'm starting off here with some Victorian Velvet Distress Oxide ink. I'm just applying it with my Picket Fence blending brush here. I'm just going across a section horizontally in the center with this color, which I feel really matches up nicely with the pink tones that are in Heidi Swapp's Honey and Spice collection. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with this layout. I knew that I wanted to do something through this middle section. So a lot of this ends up getting covered up, but you can still see sort of bits of it poking out around the paper and other mixed media that I'm going to add here. Now I did show you a stencil, and I am going to be using that stencil over this. I did want to just do a little bit of distressing of this ink with some water by spritzing it over top of that and then dabbing up the water with paper towel. You can see that just really adds a neat distressing to the oxide ink. Before I add that stencil work, I wanted to add a little bit of stamping. It's important to add the stamping before you do any texture paste over top, because obviously the texture paste is going to be very dimensional. So I'm going to take a stamp and add some Sepia Versafine ink onto my project. This is a Carabelle Studio stamp. I think it's called Dreams or something like that. It might even have a French title to it because this is a French company. And I just wanted to put some of this on here. There's some butterflies, there's some text. Once again, a lot of it gets covered up, and I'm totally okay with that. There's little bits and pieces of it that stick out. And to me, that's perfect because it just adds a little bit of interest and more dimension to the layout. Now, that was some texture paste that I added through that. I think it's called Lacy Doily or something like that. It's a Gina K stencil. I'll link it up down below. And I added that with white texture paste here and there across that horizontal section. And now you can see I tore a piece of the Heidi Swapp Honey and Spice patterned paper. And I wanted to just imitate that tearing and kind of textury, distressed kind of look that was on the first layout that I created. So I'm using a lot of the same papers, and this text paper was also on that first layout. This is actually from Felicity Jane, and I ordered, I can't remember what kit this is. I will, once again, I'll link it in the products that I use below. I ordered 2 packs of paper from that kit because I really love this text paper. So I had 2 sheets of it, which I've almost used up now. Now I reprinted my photo here. You'll see it in a minute, but I did end up texturizing the edges of both photos. I'm only going to actually use one, but I backed the photo with a glassine bag. And I also did a little bit of stitching on that glassine bag. And now what I did was I took that same stamp that you saw earlier and I stamped it onto a piece of white cardstock just to add as a layer in my photo mat. I did this exact same thing with my first layout, and I'm just going to distress the edges of that too, just to create that texture and so on. Now, what I was talking about with the photo is I felt like this photo was really, really bold, and I reprinted it. I'll talk about that when I pop it on here. I'm going to put some foam adhesive on the back of that glassine bag, and I'm going to pop that up onto that stamped cardstock just so that it has a little bit more dimension on the layout, and the photos just popped up a little bit. So I'm going to stick this text paper down to that patterned paper that kind of has sort of like a watercolory look to it. I love it. It's so pretty and soft. Absolutely love this collection. I'm going to adhere that down with just some cheapy craft foam that has adhesive on the back. I'm going to stick it down by removing that release paper off the back. And then I'm going to use just some liquid adhesive because, as I'm sure you've heard many mixed media scrapbookers talk about, how when you've got that all the mediums on your paper, you need to use some liquid adhesive to really get it to stick. Now I took a piece of vellum, I tore it. This is 12 by 12 vellum. I tore a strip. I ran it through an embossing folder that has a script, kind of a script embossing on it. And it really looks weathered and textured. And I love how that looks. And you can see I've added more sewing to my photo mats and a little sticker there that says the future is bright. And now you can see here, I'm going to change out the photo. What I did was I put the photo into Lightroom and I dehazed it. And you can see that it just looks really soft. You can still tell the sky is blue. You can still see the tones of green in the grass. You can still really see the beauty of Bailey's dress as it's swirling in the air as he's twirling her around. It's such a pretty photo. And I just wanted it to be softer. I felt like the colors in the one that I had printed first were too bold. I'm probably going to scrapbook this photo again with the bold colors using just some different papers. But I just felt like with this particular layout, I wanted it to be really soft, just like the papers and all of the embellishments and everything. Now I'm trying to use a lot of the same things I used on that first layout. Vellum, you can see I'm using another one of the scripty embellishments there. This one says hello, and I wanted to use more vellum pieces like I did in the first layout. So I wanted to put this vellum piece up in the corner with another one of those large floral die cuts, using more of the rose gold and so on and so forth. I'm not going to do a ton of embellishing. I just wanted this layout to be really soft and pretty and delicate. So I like the layers I've got going in the two embellishment areas on the photo and up in the corner, but I wanted to bring something down to the bottom. So I just did some really simple tearing. I'm going to add another layer of that text paper to the bottom to repeat that text pattern down there. And then I'm just going to add a couple staples and my layout is going to be finished. Those rose gold photo corners are part of the ephemera pack with the Honey and Spice collection. This collection is beautiful. It is perfection in my opinion. It is definitely part of my style with certain kinds of photos, especially my daughter's wedding photos. I really like how this turned out. And I'm going to show you here how it just looks really nice with that first layout that I did. I will leave a link in the description box below to the video for the first layout if you missed it last week, just so you can find it easily if you want to watch it. I'm going to trim off the pieces that are over the sides of the layout here. You can see my vellum came loose there. I'm just going to flip that back and just trim off those extra pieces that are hanging over the sides. And that's my project for today. Thank you so much for stopping by, guys. I really appreciate it. I have popped a couple of still shots at the end here of close-ups so you can see those. And I'm just showing you some of the details, and I'm going to show you that companion layout here. And thank you so much for stopping by today. I really appreciate it. If you have some comments, please make sure you leave them down below. Let me know what you liked about each of the different layouts, or if you like this idea of creating companion side-by-side layouts instead of double page spreads necessarily. I really appreciate all of your comments. If you're not a subby, I'd love to have you as a subscriber on my channel. And if you like my project today, please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys. Have an amazing day, and I hope to see you again here on my channel. Bye-bye.